Welcome to Horror Dreams, where history refuses to die. What if a house kept building itself to stay ahead of the dead? What if every hallway, every blind stair, every door that opens into empty air was drawn like a map meant to mislead the restless souls of those killed by a rifle that changed American history? Tonight, we step inside the Winchester Mystery House, the mansion that never ends. Stay close. People get lost in here. The path is bordered by manicured hedges now, but close your eyes and imagine it a working estate. Orchards, carriage tracks, carpenters moving by lantern after sundown. Literally nowhere. One swings outward into open space to stories above the ground. Another opens onto a solid wall only inches behind it. Another hides a drop. Another leads to a hallway shorter than a coffin. Stairs climb with risers barely 3 inches high, as if built for someone too frail to lift her feet or for spirits who glide more than walk. Workers expanded, altered, demolished, and re-expanded the structure over decades. A 7-story tower collapsed, chimneys fell, upper floors crumbled. When damaged sections were sealed off rather than fully rebuilt, the house's strangest features multiplied. Staircases ending abruptly, doors opening to vertical drops where balconies once stood, half-finished passages walled away like ruptured memories. The disaster helped create the architectural riddles visitors marvel at and fear today. Stories grew that Sarah kept carpenters on rotating shifts around the clock, never allowing the house to rest, because if building stopped, the spirits would find her or she would die. The hallway leading in is narrow, wallpaper dark navy floral overlaid with age-yellowed varnish. He assumed security had doubled back. When he opened the door, the hall on the other side was dark, alarms armed. No one logged inside. Researchers who dug into estate records caution that many 13 details were emphasized door, Van added after she died. When operators leaned into mystique, yet you'll still count them. Once someone says 13, your eyes hunt patterns your reason can't dismiss. Within months it opened for public tour, the legend already snowballing. Grief-stricken widow, cursed rifle fortune, ghost demanding additions, endless construction to placate the dead. They find a capable, educated woman with resources, health problems, and a passion for design. Someone who tinkered, expanded, revised, and indulged ideas without needing to justify them. One climbs into shadow. One ends at a window facing another room. One dead ends in a wall. Pick a direction. 3 taps, pause. 3 taps, closer now. Imagine Sarah awake at 2 a.m. arthritis flaring. Mind turning, sketching another addition, another stair, another way to keep grief moving so it never sits long enough to swallow her. Let us know in the shadows whether she built to confuse spirits, to manage sorrow, or simply because she could. The result is the same, a living maze that still rearranges the way people think about loss, guilt, money, and the spaces we build to house them. The supernatural narrative may be marketing, but does that make the unease you feel in these halls any less real? Emotion leaves residues. So do stories told in the dark. Even magician Harry Houdini visited in the 1920s. Accounts of his visit helped cement the word mystery to the brand. Over the decades, the Winchester House became California's original haunted attraction, part architectural marvel, part grief monument, part funhouse built on folklore. That's how hauntings begin, in expectation. He left, came back the next day to check wiring. The acoustics throw faint sounds back at odd angles. A whisper 10 feet away can feel like breath behind your ear. In a house famous for misdirection, even physics collaborates. Found a carpenter's pencil lodged point first in the sill, fresh graphite street. Wood still sharp though no crew had worked that wing for a week. Air temperature drops a few degrees. Moisture beads along the brass latch. When you close the door behind you, sound thins, as if stuffed in cotton. Ahead, another door. To the left, an interior window looking into another hallway. But when you shine light through, the beam hits dust in midair, then bends as if passing through rising heat. There's no heat source. That tale helps sell tickets later. but historians note the evidence for non-stop construction is thin. A wrong turn, another wrong turn, and you realize the house controls the pace of your breath. Guides say the floor plan was meant to confuse spirits. Skeptics say it reflects constant remodeling without a master architect. Admirers say it's the physical diary of a woman designing by grief, inspiration, and experiment. Maybe every explanation is partly true. Still, the legend stuck, braided tightly with the timber and the nails. Windows appear in interior walls. Skylights peer into other rooms instead of the sky. It feels intentional, or deranged, or both. Dozens of stairways and fireplaces, multiple kitchens, and architectural decisions that seem to obey private rules, if any at all. The air holds that dry California chill that settles in just before midnight. Eucalyptus and damp soil mingle with the sweet rot scent of old timber, or something reenacting an endless work order. Visitors and employees have long reported footsteps in empty halls, distant organ notes, cold spots that hover waist-high, and the scent stronger in some rooms than others that someone just stepped aside to let you pass. The recently widowed heir to a portion of the Winchester repeating arms fortune. She had lost her infant daughter years earlier. Then she lost her husband, William Wirt Winchester. Grief has a way of echoing in large, empty rooms. She left the East Coast and came west. She had money, she had sorrow, and she had, perhaps, a desire to build something no silence could fill. Your footsteps narrow as corridors do wide 1 minute, shoulder tight the next. Wallpaper presses close, gas-like glass rattles in the draft. Night settles strangely over the valley in San Jose, California. The mansion rises in layers, gables stacked on gables, windows where no room should be, rooflines colliding like overlapping memories. From outside, candlelight flickers in panes 3 stories up, then vanishes when you look again. Creaking porches lace the perimeter. Cedar and redwood siding carry the faint smell of dust and time-baked varnish. Somewhere within, a hidden stair groans under a weight that shouldn't be there. Walk with me toward the front. Open a door careful. Some doors here lead nowhere. Before it became legend, this was an ordinary farmhouse, 8 rooms on a large tract of land purchased in the mid-1880s by Sarah Winchester. The construction that followed would become one of the most talked about building projects in American folklore. Then came the earthquake of 1906, a violent shock that tore through Northern California and hammered the Winchester estate. By the time Sarah Winchester died in 1922, the mansion sprawled into a labyrinth. Roughly 160 rooms, thousands of doors and windows. You feel the layout working on you. Corridors loop, double back, climb, drop, stall. Listen, do you hear that? A soft hammering, 3 taps, then pause. Carpenters, tour staff closing up. Tonight's story threads through one of the most whispered about spots in the house. A cramped interior chamber, sometimes linked by tour lore to Sarah's alleged private seance sessions. A maintenance worker once reported hearing muffled voices here long after tour ended. One was a woman, clipped, precise. Another softer, like someone answering from far down a well. Tour narratives often call out recurring 13s minus 13 panes, 13 rails, 13 drain holes as evidence of spiritual codes Sarah used to trap or misdirect the dead. Stand in the grand ballroom, mahogany panels, leaded glass, and a parquet floor that remembers weight. After Sarah's death in 1922, the property was auctioned. Modern investigations and historians have tried to peel legend from lumber. We stand at a junction where 3 corridors meet. Do you hear the hammer again? Would you dare to visit this place?